Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. And if you are new to my channel, well then it's very nice to meet you guys. I hope everybody is doing well today. We're going to be talking about a couple things today. Mostly we're actually going to be focusing on what's going on with the news. A lot of the stuff that's going on is kind of in untapped waters, more or less. So because of that, we're not going to be doing too much technical analysis on this. I want to keep you guys kind of in the loop in what's going on as far as any major news in the industry space. And I think that's something of a key point to kind of keep in mind with this stuff. We could see retracements and we'll kind of talk about that. So if you guys are new, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to turn on the bell notification if anyone hasn't yet done so. And especially guys, can you please make sure you hit that big thumbs up like button on this video. We're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about Orchid today, we're talking about District0x or District0x, right? And we're gonna be talking about that one especially because it was doing something pretty crazy today. Or was it? Let's go ahead and start with the news regarding with Bitcoin. As I previously reported in the video yesterday, I talked about the $1 billion that was shown to have moved on an account that was associated with Silk Road, which handled a lot of the illegal activity. Well, lo and behold, it's actually been seized by the United States government. That's right, thousands of Bitcoins worth $1 billion was seized by law enforcement this week in what the Justice Department said was the largest seizure of cryptocurrency in the history of its agency. So if this follows suit, kind of what we've seen in the past, then this is largely more than likely going to end up going to an auction and people will be able to enter in and be able to acquire this Bitcoin. But is that for sure? I'm not quite sure. So we'll have to wait and see. It is the Justice Department that has acquired this. It's not the Federal Reserve, which is doing a lot of money printing and things. So I don't know if they would try and hold on to it and keep this for themselves. But seeing how things have been handled in the past, I wouldn't be surprised that this goes off to an auction here sometime in the future. And aside from that, we also had Square. Square reports $1 billion in quarterly Bitcoin revenue for the first time. It's Q3 earnings, right? We won't know their Q4 earnings until next year. So Cash App generated $1.63 billion worth of Bitcoin revenue and $32 million of Bitcoin gross profit during the third quarter of 2020, up approximately 11 times and 15 times year over year, respectively. The publicly traded payments firm wrote in its Q3 investor letter published Thursday at the market close. So it's just another article that really establishes a bigger name in the industry space and the fact that they've gotten involved. And look, they've made a profit on it. So that's a good sign to a lot of these other big institutions that have money to be able to spare, or maybe not to spare. That if they're looking for an opportunity to invest in something, this is looking really reliable. And you look at the price of what's going on right now, and it's showing signs of pushing back up to the $20,000 range. And guys, if we break above $20,000, we have nothing to compare it to. The sky is literally the limit. Could we bounce off at $20,000 and go back down? Yes. Could we go just slightly above and then come all the way back down? Yes. I mean, a moon could crash into the earth at some crazy velocity speed that we never could have fathomed, right? But like, why do we worry about these kinds of things? We try to handle everything in the circumstance as it is, and everything right now, the signs are suggesting that this is very bullish and it's a very good project to be invested into. So that's actually really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and close these articles out. And let's go ahead and take a look at the chart here for Bitcoin, and then we're going to talk about Orchid and also with DNT. So Bitcoin, we're seeing it right now at almost $16,000 as of the time of me recording this video. It has been moving up considerably, and I think there's a very strong chance that we could see it hit $16,000 tonight. We just passed the 5 o'clock, so the daily candle is now in a new position. If we go ahead and zoom in on here, you can see the previous day had quite a bit of a gain. And as compared to the previous day, we're seeing a little bit of a retracement right now. as we're only about 20 minutes into the new day. But as far as the new daily candle goes, that's less of a concern. It's more about trying to break above that $20,000 level. And there's a lot of just kind of empty space here. So we might see it have a little bit of a retracement back. You can actually see on this big scale format here that this has broken above this level, which is actually very, very good news. It needs to establish itself ideally for 2-3 days to still be a good indicator of a further continuation in this trend pattern. And then a new format can be actually formed off of that. However, we have seen several days with very, very high explosive growth. And of course, people are going to be looking to try and take profits. The question is, how many people have those weak hands right now? How much of this money is going to go back on the exchanges? At what point in time? Is there going to be issues with other exchanges coming up, kind of like what we've seen with Huobi in the past and BitMEX and things like that? So the news, I would say, is a large key point that we should definitely actually keep in mind at this point in time. Yes, you want to keep an eye on the technicals for sure, but we're in almost in uncharted territory. And so because of that, everything else that's going to be relied on of what could potentially move the market is essentially going to be the news. We'll still take a look at charts and see what we can try and formulate off of this. But yeah, we got to get above $20,000. And when you look at this back in 2017, as I mentioned before too, going all the way back over here, it took Bitcoin, you know how long to go from $14,000, $20,000? Anybody? No? It took 1 day. It took 1 day. Right here, closed above $14,000. The next day, it pushed all the way up. I mean, technically, it was just under $20,000, and then it took about another week or so for it to hit the actual highest high. So it had a bit of a retracement and then came back up. But, you saw an exponential growth, $6,000 approximately, over the course of a single day, and then the retracement. But, wow. That's back then. There's more demand for this now. There's more big players, the big money that's coming in, the smart money, right? And so when you take a look at all of that, is now the time. There's also more scarcity because of the whole halving event, and you got a lot of people that have moved this off of the markets. You also have people that had it in the past and maybe they died, they lost their keys, they lost their ledger, their laptop that they had this on. Hackers have had the whole different exchanges that some of them are still waiting on, like the Plus token scam, for example, and waiting to see what's going to happen with those. Those haven't been seized yet. So you got dormant coins, you got Satoshi Nakamoto's coins. There's a lot of things that come into play, and the less that's on the exchange that's available for people to buy, and the more people that step forward saying, I want this, well, it's simple supply and demand. There's not an opportunity for them to get it on it cheaper because there's very little that's there. And so when it does go on, it's like, well, who's willing to pay the highest price? If you're selling it and you're undermining yourself when you see the price is clearly skyrocketing and you could tell that there's very little that's out there and there's very high demand, the smart move for you would be to try and mark up your price. You're trying to make as much of a profit as you can, and other people are looking to take advantage of that. So this is a very important integral moment, and when we're looking at what's going on with the election, right now Biden is still ahead. I can actually look that up real quick. You can see Biden is currently up ahead, 264 to 214. It's a very close race. It could still technically go either way, but it's looking like it is pretty likely that Joe Biden is going to win. The stuff with the whole legal case and the situation there, who knows? Maybe that'll throw this weird wrench in. I mean, lots of weird stuff has happened this year, so who knows what else could end up happening. But once we have a clear winner for this, I think the sentiment of a lot of people in the industry space for the stock market, as well as for cryptocurrency, heck, maybe even in real estate, I don't know, just as far as where you're going to invest your money and what kind of political views that you see Joe Biden has and Donald Trump has, is where you kind of lay yourself for your next game plan. But even then, business moves on. So we might see some retracement if somebody doesn't like one of the sides that's ended up being decided. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to make a profit here. Business moves on. We're not going to let everything rest just on the shoulders of whoever is going to be this one leader for one country when there's all these other countries too. And as we know, Bitcoin, it's decentralized. It's not held down by just the dollar. There's other countries that are involved with this too. So we got to keep an eye on that, see how things are going with that there. Okay, and so that's what's basically going on with Bitcoin. It's just brief again with the technical analysis on that. With Orchid, very brief going into this as well. You can see that we have broken above, and I talked about this yesterday too. We've broken above that level of resistance so far. 1 day established above, which is good. It's not a significant move by any standard, but it's on a green candle. Is it going to establish this and stay above this line? Well, hopefully it does. We really, really hope it does. I'm sure a lot of us that are invested in this do. I'm invested in this. By the way, I'm not a financial advisor, just a little side thing again. If you guys haven't yet done so and you are enjoying this again, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to hit the bell icon. I would love it if this video could hit 50 likes at least. Anyways, going back to the content itself here, we still need to get above this 21 EMA, this yellow line. And we got room to move for sure to try and get up to that point. So if we're going to hit it or not, we got to see some movement. I think if we see a lot more bullish movement with Ethereum, I think a lot of the ERC20 tokens that are essentially subsidiaries underneath that, they're likely to start moving too. It's coming to that point where the market is becoming way more believable. Skeptics are now converting over. We're seeing the move up. We're seeing a lot of flashbacks similar to 2020. And so people are starting to change their perspective, and FOMO is happening in. And when people are looking for some new opportunities to try and capitalize on, something like Orchid could be, not for sure, it could be one of those projects. And that's why I invested in it. I'm banking on that kind of idea. We'll see how things continue to move. I need this. Orchid needs this. Other investors need this. If you're looking for it to grow, it needs to establish above this line. 1 day is great, but we need realistically 2 to 3 days. We have a bad history of Orchid having a big push up and then a slow decline down. More importantly, it needs to go above this 21 EMA. Every time we see it trying to go to this 21 EMA, it seems it wants to go a little bit past and then retraces. Go past, retraces. Over and over and over again, all the way back, pushing back to September 2nd. So it really needs to try and break above that key level. And if it can do that and maintain it for 2-3 days above this yellow line at approximately 23 cents, then I think we're showing a lot more bullish of an indicator. And the RSI is showing oversold. So is this the potential time to light that candle? It's looking pretty good. It could pull back into a further downward side. We have a bunch more coins that are going to be coming out, especially in December. So that's a little bit of a concern for me about how much is going to go out into circulation. However, as the signs are right now, it's looking pretty good. So we'll keep an eye on that. And now moving on to District0x. So District0x actually had quite a bit of a gain today. Went up 102%. 102%. Let me go ahead and close these out right here. Sorry about that. So yeah, went up 102% over here, and it was primarily because of its release on Coinbase. So Coinbase has just recently added Civic, Decentraland, and District0x or OX. Tell me which way it is to say this, because I said this with the OX, the other OX coin as well, OX protocol. So, or 0x, like it's a 0, but I want to say O. Anyways, not really that important. And you can actually see here that these all did pretty well. The timing for the release with the uprise of Bitcoin is pretty good launch time. However, DNT is not new to the actual game. So although it did have a big bit of a spike here, and you could actually see that it was going right to the region zone as of previously, it's been around for a while. It's been around since 2017. And when you look at the time period with 2017, when Bitcoin had its rise up to $20,000, guess what? The highest price point that we saw for District was 44 cents, and this is coming off of a low of around 3 cents or so. But right now, it's actually lower than what it was at that previous point. Will we see an exponential growth like this again? It's hard to say, but looking at just how it's kind of lived throughout the rest of the course of this time, I am not banking on it personally. and trying to look up any major news of what they've got going on. It doesn't seem like anything's significant other than the fact that it's been added to Coinbase as an option, and its actual application sounds really enticing. It's a network of decentralized markets and communities, create, operate, and govern, powered by Ethereum, Aragon, and IPFS. So the whole idea of decentralized markets clicked a little bit for me too, because that's one of the things that Orchid is supposed to be working towards and having that kind of a space. But because this is focused so heavily on it, it also makes me a little bit concerned, to be totally honest with you guys, because it just doesn't really have much of a price. The actual circulating supply is at 600 million, which is more than what Orchid has currently. The total supply is the same. It's the same as Orchid. It's 1 billion total. And so if these have very similar applications in that regards, it makes me raise questions about if Orchid does go out into a market space with the nano payments structure, if it's really going to have that much of a demand. What Orchid has been establishing and providing already, and with its current market cap value, and with where its current price point is, I would lean more in favor for the future of something like Orchid, especially with the idea of the nano payments and inclusion with that, than say with the District0x. But the fact that this does have marketplace could open up more opportunities, in my opinion, for the future in this. So that's the whole point of getting more than one person's opinion on these things. I can't predict the future on this. Other people can't predict the future on this. We try to look at what facts that we can. I'm trying to share these with you and help you broaden your knowledge a little bit more of what's out there, and then you can make your own decision. And I wish you guys all the best on it too, whether you get in it or not get on it, or if you put more focus on one or another, etc. I'm just trying to let you guys know what I'm looking at, and hopefully it helps. If it does, subscribe, hit like, all that good stuff, right? And I got to keep slipping it in there, right? So District looking pretty good, but when you're talking about 150% of an increase, we're talking about from less than a penny to a peak of 2 cents. So not really like visually that great when you think about it, but hey, you doubled your money if you put something in it. Technically, if you made your cash out on it, and it does have room to grow if it did go back to its previous points. I mean, we saw its all-time high was actually at they moved this stuff around here a little bit on me at 48 cents. It was back on January 6th, so at the peak when Bitcoin had hit its point, essentially back in 2017, 2018, big bull run. So yeah, that's something that you guys, if you want to keep an eye out, you can. And just looking at the chart here, you can see a big explosive growth up and then a bit of a retracement down here. And if we wanted to take a look at the actual retracement down, I always get these mixed up. I'm looking for my price. There we go. I always have that issue. Taking a look at how much it had declined down, it went down approximately 50%. Its actual gain up, though, you can see right here, as of a positive from its initial point, was actually up all the way 441%, quite crazy. And then a bit of a retracement down, all the way down to about 150%, which what they were essentially talking about here, 150%. So it's 164 there. And then the new transition for the day. So with where it's at currently, as of the previous day, it's up 216, 217%. So not bad for a price increase there, but will it be able to maintain it? We look back historically over here, and you can see that as far as for what TradingView shows, it's already above these levels. So it's kind of in an uncharted territory of its own right there, and it's almost at the 3 cent level. We take a look at it just real quickly on a 4-hour, and you can see it did have a bit of a retracement down, and there was a huge red candle volume. The RSI is showing that it's overbought for sure, and it is above the 21 EMA, but this is for the 4-hourly candle, right? And we don't have a whole lot to really work off of as far as if we go back Well, we got enough to work off of actually on the daily here. So the fact that it's above the 21 EMA as of one daily close is a good start, but this could be a potential pump and dump. So you might want to be a little bit cautious on this, guys. The price could look really enticing, especially when you see they could go back up to around the 48-cent level, but still, I'm not seeing any other major news really, except for the fact that it's been released on Coinbase. And looking at it historically, it's been very, very flat. I mean, most of this time period, it was around 1.5 cents. So is it finally it's time to shine? You guys let me know in the comments down below. And that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button, please. Please. Oh, God. Oh, God. Now I sound like President Trump. Please like me. I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I look forward to your comments. Look at other people's comments down below. Engage in the conversation. Let's form an awesome community. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.